gonna check out this video. It's regarding the Epstein files. I don't know why these Epstein files are such a big deal. They're only a big deal because Democrats make them a big deal, and they're so hell-bent on getting these files released. So let's see what this particular CNN segment is about.
And my source tonight is the Democratic leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries. And thank you, sir, for being here. Obviously, a lot of movement up on Capitol Hill today. And you heard Stacey Plaskett there. She was arguing her texts with Jeffrey Epstein were not illegal. But in your view, were they appropriate?
Well, Stacey Plaskett is not accused of violating any House rule, any law, any statute. And she's clearly and unequivocally denounced Jeffrey Epstein. And I think what the survivors fought for today is the type of transparency that came out of the House, went through the Senate, and is now on its way to Donald Trump's desk.
But were they appropriate? That's the question. Were they appropriate? No, they weren't. None of it was illegal or anything like that, but were they appropriate? And Caitlin Collins' face is always like, okay, it is what it is. Maybe her expression will change. I don't know.
Hopefully he'll sign it into law, because at the end of the day, all the American people are asking for is just the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, which is why these Epstein files that Donald Trump and his administration has been hiding for months need to be released.
But do you think it was appropriate for her to be texting with Jeffrey Epstein 11 years after he pleaded guilty?
I mean, I have not had a conversation with Stacey Plaskett to discuss this issue, because we've been focused today on making sure that there was a decisive vote as it related to
not answering the question.
The Epstein files and the release. I'm thankful for the work of Representative Massey, of Ro Khanna, but most importantly, the survivors.
Do you plan to talk to her about it?
I think
awesome
that we
question.
Successfully defeated a resolution that lacked any basis, was not credible, and was being brought by an individual who was trying to weaponize this issue to reinvigorate his own failed gubernatorial campaign in South Carolina. It was rejected on a bipartisan basis on the floor today. That's the end of the story.
That's why they get these people such as himself. They get Barack Obama. They get all these people pretty much around their college years. Oh my, this is interesting. I don't know if I paused. I didn't know I paused it with both of them with their eyes closed, but just don't look at that. Just listen to me. They get these people most of the time in their college years, in their early college years, and they groom these people. These people are geniuses at obfuscating questions, not answering questions. They do have their talking points, which is guided by just certain keywords. If you noticed already, he said survivors too many times. Y'all don't give a fuck about survivors, because if you did, all this shit would have came out. Over the last 16 years, Democrats have been in charge 12. The other 4 was Donald Trump in his first presidency. If you gave a fuck about survivors, y'all would have let this shit come out and you would have nipped all this shit in the butt. But no. These people are groomed. They are trained to, these Democrats, they are groomed and they are trained to continue narrative. Now, fuck the truth. Just a narrative. Just the narrative. And this narrative right now is, if Donald Trump's name is even mentioned in these particular leaks, releases, because Donald Trump to this point has signed to have all this shit released. He told Democrats, okay, y'all want it? Okay, here we go. And so now at this point, it's just, if your name is mentioned in these things, then you did something nefarious. When this dude name is mentioned, but Democrats are so skilled that now it's not what you see. We'll tell you what it is, but it's not what you see. What you see is not what you see.
Yeah, I was just asking if you personally believe messaging with Jeffrey Epstein who is at that point a registered sex offender, is appropriate for a member of the House Democratic Caucus?
That's the third time you've asked me this question, and I'm going to give you the same exact answer. Our focus
Narrative
today is on making sure that the Jeffrey Epstein files were released. If you want to have a conversation with Stacey Plaskett about it, I'm sure she'd be willing.
She asking you, you're the leader. You give Stacey Plaskett direction. That's why all of these Democrats appointed you the leader. And then after this, Stacey Plaskett is gonna go and do her rounds, and she's gonna tell a lot of truths. She's gonna tell a lot of truth that she's grimy as the rest of the Democrats. But that's what not leaders do. Leaders take responsibility unless you're a Democrat. Either you blame it on somebody else or you just don't answer the question at all. In this particular example, he's just not even answering the question at all.
To talk to you.
Robot.
It was an illegitimate effort to try to remove her from the House Committee on Intelligence, and that was defeated in a bipartisan way.
Well, let me ask you about you, because the White House has been highlighting an email that I'm sure you've seen today that Jeffrey Epstein got in 2013. They say it shows you were soliciting money and dinner from an Epstein. The email was not sent from you. It was sent from a political consulting firm called Dynamic SRG that says, "We are thrilled to announce we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. Shoot us an email or give us a call if you would like to get involved." What's your response? Do you recall that email being sent to Jeffrey Epstein from that team?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course I have no recollection of the email. I've never had a conversation with him, never met him, know nothing about him other than the extreme things that he's been convicted of doing. And that's why, I'm just strongly supportive of the effort.
Look at this dude. There's no soul. There's no soul. When a lie is telling untruths, right? And you know them to be untrue. The other part of a lie is omission, is that you leave things out. The other part of a lie is just, in these particular examples, is just obfuscating what you know is true. But at this point, I'm thinking, when Democrats speak, the first word, from the first word that they say until the last word that they say, is just lies. Giving the previous examples that. So they can just do it just with no conviction, no apprehension, no hesitation. They can just do it. And you have to be of some demonic state of mind to even be able to do that, because the only thing I know is how to tell the truth. That's all I know how to do. I had people ask me a question. I had an example the other day. Certain person asked me a question. I care about this person. I didn't want to cut off the conversation. She asked me the question. I gave a certain facial expression, and she was like, "I just know you're going to tell the truth about this. This wasn't no really serious subject or whatever. Just tell me the truth of whatever you think it is." So then I told her the whole truth. The point that I'm making is that you have to be guided by some type of demonic being or way of thinking. You're in rituals or all these type of things. The way these people can go up here and just lie and just talk and live in lies in public as much as they talk. How can their families be proud of them? Now, I'm of the way of thinking that these politicians, most of them, blah, blah, they're pretty much actors, right? Which that can be a whole nother subject in itself. How can you live your life as an actor, acting like someone else for 20, 30 years and then be taken seriously with your opinion? Okay, we can have a whole nother conversation about that. But these people right here, these politicians, these Democrats in particular, These people are wolves. They are wolves in sheep's clothing every day. And you can tell by the example of this soulless. This person don't care about anything except the establishment Democrat agenda.
Backing the survivors to make sure that
Survivors
everything can
again.
come out, whatever is in those Department of Justice files.
So you never got a donation from Jeffrey Epstein or anything like that?
Certainly not.
And just on this passing today, to this point, I mean, this is something that even Ro Khanna told me just a few moments ago, he never even thought it would get to this point today. I wonder what it says to you that the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, fought this so much and had a concern over, you know, he was saying this discharge petition would create new victims, as he argued, because it was requiring the DOJ to release information where maybe the FBI hadn't reviewed it and determined it's not credible. I wonder what you made of how this culminated tonight.
Well, I think it was a decisive bipartisan vote that, you know, I think clearly, despite all of the efforts, 7 weeks of Republicans being on a paid vacation and refusing
to them.
swear in Representative Adelita Grijalva. Why was that done? Because they didn't want her to become the 218th signature on the discharge petition that ultimately resulted in the vote today. And so I don't think the Speaker has any credibility as it relates to this issue, but I'm thankful for the outcome today, thankful for the decisive vote in the Senate, and now it's on its way to President Trump's desk.
And the Plaskett censure did not pass. There was a resolution rebuking Congressman Chuy Garcia. He had timed the announcement of his retirement shortly after the state's filing deadline, and that was after his chief of staff had declared her own candidacy for that position, basically leaving her as the only Democrat able to run for that seat. There are 23 Democrats who joined Republicans on the disapproval resolution. You urged members to oppose it. How come?
I think that it's an issue to be worked out by the people back in the great state of Illinois. Chuy Garcia has been a consistent progressive champion for the disenfranchised, a voice for the voiceless. He's done a lot of good.
Voice for the voiceless.
I think that it was a resolution of disapproval that I did not support, that there are a lot of issues, I think, of importance to the American people, including the failed Trump economy, the Trump tariffs that are crushing people, the Republican healthcare crisis, the refusal by my Republican colleagues to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, the fact that that is going to result in...
She didn't ask this robot anything about any of that. But if I had a montage, the Democrats, they all get the same script. It's emailed to them and they all have their same talking points. And the talking points are pretty much don't say anything. Don't say anything. But when you do say something, make sure you hit this, 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 and this. And if you don't hit anything else, don't be truthful. It's not about logic. It's not about truth. It's not about facts. But what it's about, narrative. Say these particular things. And above all, any of this, when you have the opportunity to point it to Donald Trump, point it to Donald Trump. Now, why is this man all of this? He's one man. Got 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 legs, 2 hands, just like the rest of us. How can he do all these things when we live in a country that's ruled by laws, constitutional republic? That's what we live in. How can he do all these things? The truth is, he can't. That's why these fucking Democrats challenge him in court on everything that he does. They challenge him on everything that he does. Donald Trump can say, he can come out here to say, if you walk outside your house, breathing is free. Democrats will probably say, nah, breathing is really not free. Nah, we need to tax rich folks and figure out a way to charge people for breathing. That's how ridiculous and extreme these Democrats are. And the progressive wing of the Democrats, they're pretty much on the same plane of thinking. They claim they want to give free things to, say one of their words that they like to use, disenfranchised and marginalized people, while charging and taking money for all the rich folks, the job creators, which is what I like to call them. The job creators. Tax them to where they can't even afford it, and then what happens? Those job creators leave, and then who you depend on? The Democrats. When Republicans, they're cutting taxes so those job creators can flourish. They're cutting regulations so those job creators can flourish, and that creates jobs for the normal people. And you know who those normal people depend on with the regulations and tax cuts that Republicans do? The regular people depend on themselves. Get the government the fuck out of the way. Now let's see what Robot has to say.
Tens of millions of people experiencing dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles. People are going to be unable to go and afford to see a doctor when they need one. There are a whole host of issues that the American people just made clear 2 weeks ago during the general election that they want to see addressed. It's the reason why Republicans were decisively defeated across the country and up and down the ballot. And yet we continue to come to the floor of the House of Representatives and they play partisan political games.
They like to play this last little election season that happened in New York, which is a deep blue state, New Jersey, which is deep blue, Virginia, which is now blue. And they tout these victories when their Democratic candidates were going to win anyway. But that's a so-called victory for them. It's like if you're in a basketball game and you're spotted 75 points and then you win by 25. I mean, you were going to win the game anyway. So are you proud of that? Are you pumping your chest? Or is a win even if you cheat? Hey, I don't know.
Yeah.
As opposed to dealing with the issues that matter relative to driving down the high cost of living and making life better for the American people.
I think it's fair to say there's bigger issues people care about, but even some Democrats have said this is why people don't like politics. This is slimy, and it disenfranchises voters by not letting them pick who they want to be running in that race. Did they have a point?
I think they can speak for themselves, and certainly, my view on the situation was that there are things that we should be focused on in terms of solving problems for the American people, that the American people just decisively told us 2 weeks ago during the general election they wanted us to work on.
So that's going to be the end of this video. Those of you who vote Democrat, honestly, I understand most people, we work our jobs. We do we gotta do to take care of our family, but just try it. Just 10 minutes out of your day, because politics affects your life, especially local, but national, as we've seen with this EBT stuff and all this type shit. Just only take 10 minutes. If there's an issue that you don't understand, is probably because there's some things you don't know, which is logic, simple. You don't understand it, you don't know. Take 10 minutes. Nah, I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna lead you down a rabbit hole. And even with AI today, you can put in the normal way that you talk if you don't understand it, and it will point you in a direction that will give you some clarification. I want to say don't go into it biased, but we're human. We all have biases. But at least going to it thinking this way. Maybe what I thought up to this point was wrong. If you go into it that way, you would gain a lot more from it. And I'm saying these things because that's what I did. If you like this video, comment on this video. Share this video. This is Mr. Info 5000, Mr. Info 5000. Peace.